10 comic storylines canceled because of real-life drama. Comics aren't just escapism. They're controversy magnets. For every successful storyline, there's another that never made it past the drawing board. Or worse, one that got pulled mid-publication. Sometimes it's a bomb threat. Sometimes it's Buckingham Palace calling. Sometimes it's 182,000 dislikes on YouTube. These are the comic book storylines that got canceled because real-life drama hit too hard. The stories that were too hot to handle. The issues DC and Marvel wish you'd forget existed. 1. Swamp Thing, number 88. Rick Veitch had an impossible job. Follow up on Alan Moore's legendary Swamp Thing run. Veitch took over as writer and kept the same dark, metaphysical tone. His storyline involved Swamp Thing traveling through time. Issue number 88 was supposed to be the climax. The plot, Swamp Thing meets Jesus Christ. Not symbolic Jesus, actual Jesus Christ during his final night before crucifixion. The story would show Swamp Thing in the Garden of Gethsemane. Veitch wrote it, Zully drew it. The issue was finished, ready to print. Then, DC's president Jeanette Kahn read it. She shut it down immediately, called it too inflammatory, said the story would be offensive to many of our readers. The entire issue was scrapped. Veitch quit DC in protest, vowed never to work for them again until the story saw print. Neil Gaiman and Jamie Delano were supposed to take over Swamp Thing after Veitch's run. They both dropped out in solidarity. The book went into limbo. For 37 years, issue number 88 sat in a vault until October 2025. DC finally announced they'd publish the story under their Black Label imprint for mature readers, releasing it as Swamp Thing 1989 in April 2026. The controversy that killed it in 1989? Religious employees at DC complained. Martin Scorsese's The Last Temptation of Christ was causing protests at the time. DC got cold feet about depicting Jesus in comics. Veitch's proposed cover showed Swamp Thing transformed into the crucifix. The imagery was too much for 1980s DC. Rick Veitch is finally getting to finish his story, 37 years later. The artwork from the late Michael Zully will be completed posthumously by Vince Locke. One canceled issue, 4 decades of waiting, all because DC was too scared to show Swamp Thing meeting Jesus. 2. X-Statix Princess Diana. Marvel versus Buckingham Palace. X-Statix was Marvel's strangest mutant team. They weren't heroes. They were media stars, fame-obsessed celebrities with superpowers. The entire series satirized early 2000s celebrity culture. Writer Peter Milligan and artist Mike Allred created a team where members died constantly, replaced by new mutants, all filmed for television. Then, Milligan decided to resurrect Princess Diana, not symbolic Diana. The Princess Diana, back from the dead as a mutant superhero. Marvel announced it in 2003, 6 years after her death. The storyline was called D Another Day. Princess Diana would return with empathy powers, join X-Statix, use her celebrity status for heroics. Then the British media found out. The Daily Mail ran the story, called it offensive. The Daily Express followed. Both tabloids went nuclear. A spokesperson for the British royal family released a statement, called the idea utterly appalling, said it was a cheap attempt to cash in on Diana's fame and tragic death. Elton John put pressure on Marvel. So did other celebrities close to Diana. Marvel caved in 5 days. Upon reflection, the company has decided to remove Princess Diana and all references to the royal family, Marvel announced. Milligan and Allred had to rewrite 5 completed issues. Last minute. The story was already drawn, already written. They replaced Diana with Henrietta Hunter, a fictional European pop star. Black hair instead of blonde. But every reference to Diana remained obvious. Henrietta's body was kept in Hawthorne House, clearly meant to be Buckingham Palace. The story repeatedly mentioned landmines. Diana's famous cause. The hastily rewritten arc made no sense. Fans hated it. The series never recovered. X-Statix was canceled with issue number 26. The entire team died in the final issue. Marvel turned one of their best satirical series into a mess because Buckingham Palace said no. 3. Web of Spider-Man. Web of Spider-Man launched with a new direction in 1986. Spider-Man would tackle ripped from the headlines stories, real-world conflicts, current events. Writer David Michelini and artist Mark Silvestri wanted the series to feel urgent, different from Amazing Spider-Man and Spectacular Spider-Man. Issue number 19 kicked off their most ambitious storyline. Peter Parker and reporter Joy Mercado traveled to Northern Ireland, to cover the Troubles, the decades-long conflict between Irish Republicans and British forces. Bombings, shootings, a civil war is playing out in the Belfast streets. Issue number 19 opened with violence at Heathrow Airport, terrorists with guns, a child reaching for her dead mother, someone called in a bomb threat. Days after issue number 19 was released, Marvel's office at 387 Park Avenue South received a bomb threat. Everyone evacuated. The building was cleared. The threat specifically mentioned the Northern Ireland storyline. Marvel panicked. The conflict was too sensitive. Real people were dying in Belfast. Editor Jim Owsley hired writer Len Kaminsky to rewrite issue number 22. The revision was rushed. Instead of the IRA and British forces, the villains became the Black Hoods, generic terrorists wearing black masks. The big twist? They weren't actually Irish or British. They were Roxxon employees. Marvel's evil corporation was pretending to be terrorists. The entire conflict was staged. Nothing to do with real Northern Ireland politics. The storyline fell apart. The ripped from the headlines direction died completely. Michelini left to write Amazing Spider-Man. Silvestri moved to Uncanny X-Men. Web of Spider-Man became just another Spider-Man book, all because someone threatened to bomb Marvel's office over a Spider-Man story. 4. Armageddon 2001. DC's 1991 crossover event had a killer premise. In the year 2030, a tyrant named Monarch ruled Earth. A scientist named Matthew Ryder traveled back to 1991 to stop him. The twist? Monarch was secretly a superhero. One of DC's heroes would go insane in 2001, kill the other heroes, take over the world. The entire crossover was a mystery. Which hero becomes Monarch? Every DC annual explored potential futures. Wave Rider touched each hero, saw their possible futures, eliminated suspects. The clues pointed to Captain Atom, Justice League Europe. Annual ended with Wave Rider finally reaching for Captain Atom. The issue ended on a cliffhanger. Everyone figured it out. Captain Atom was Monarch. Then the leak happened. Someone at DC revealed the secret before Armageddon 2001 number 2 was published. Fans knew the ending. Archie Goodwin and Dennis O'Neil made a catastrophic decision. They changed the ending at the last minute. Monarch wasn't Captain Atom. It was Hawk from Hawk and Dove. The problem? Previous issues made this impossible. Wave Rider had seen Hawk fight and die against Monarch in multiple futures. The narration literally said, no matter the future, they fought him but never became him. Fans were furious. The reveal contradicted everything. The clues pointed in the wrong direction. The story fell apart. Worse, it destroyed the Hawk and Dove series. Writer Carl Kiesel said, Hawk and Dove was always a love story. Then one day, Hawk went insane and murdered Dove. DC eventually admitted the change was a mistake. Battle for Bloodhaven number 6 in 2006 retconned the story. Captain Atom did become Monarch, just like originally planned, but the damage was done. Armageddon 2001 became DC's textbook example of don't change your ending because of leaks. 5. Elseworlds 80-page giant. DC's Elseworlds line told stories set in alternate realities, such as Batman in Victorian London. Superman was raised in the Soviet Union. Elseworlds 80-page giant collected 9 stories in August 1999. One was Letitia Lerner, Superman's babysitter. The premise? Ma and Pa Kent hire a babysitter. Their baby has superpowers. Hilarity ensues. Kyle Baker and Liz Glass made it a cartoon-style comedy. Baby Clark is wrecking the house. Bench pressing bulls. Classic slapstick. Then, baby Superman climbed into a microwave. The baby opened the door, climbed inside. Letitia shut it, hit the button. The microwave turned on. Baby Superman was fine. He's invulnerable. The joke was that he couldn't be hurt. DC President Paul Levitz didn't see the humor. He read the story, called it inappropriate, ordered the press run halted, demanded that all printed copies be destroyed. DC attempted to recall every copy. Most of the run was pulped, except that around 2,000 copies had already shipped to the UK. DC tried recalling those too, failed. The issue became a collector's item immediately. Estimates say between 700 and 2,000 copies survive. They sell for over $1,000 now. The irony? The story won both Eisner Awards it was nominated for. Best Short Story in 2000. Kyle Baker won Best Writer/Artist, Humor. DC eventually reprinted it in Bizarro Comics. Then again, in the full collection in 2011. The story DC destroyed became award-winning. One panel of a cartoon baby in a microwave. DC pulped an entire print run, made it one of the most sought-after modern comics. 6. New Warriors, 2020. Marvel announced a New Warriors reboot in March 2020, the 30th anniversary of the team. classic members would mentor new young heroes. 5 new characters joined: Trailblazer, Screen Time, Be Negative, Snowflake, Safe Space. The internet exploded. Snowflake and Safe Space were twin siblings, both non-binary. One had ice powers, the other Kree force fields. Their names were intentional. Writer Daniel Kibblesmith explained they were reclaiming internet insult terms, turning Snowflake and Safe Space into something positive. Screen Time was a teen whose brain connected to the internet through experimental internet gas. His superpower was infinite screen time. Trailblazer had a magical backpack. That was it. Her power was a backpack. The trailer got 182,000 dislikes on YouTube, only 3,800 likes. Fans called it out of touch, cringe, trying too hard. Even people who supported diverse representation hated the names. Writer Kate Leth tweeted, "I personally love to see 2 white cis men at Marvel create a black non-binary character named Snowflake in the year of our Lord 2020. Conservative media picked it up. Joe Rogan discussed it on his podcast. Episode titled, "Joe Rogan Learns About the Most SJW Comic Book Ever Made." The backlash was immediate, brutal, universal. New Warriors #1 was scheduled for April 15, 2020. It never came out. The COVID-19 pandemic hit. Lockdowns began. Marvel canceled most releases temporarily, but New Warriors never got rescheduled. No announcement, no official cancellation. Marvel just stopped mentioning it. The series quietly disappeared, as if it never existed. One character survived. Be Negative, the vampire, later appeared in Darkhold, Blade. Everyone else vanished. Marvel never commented publicly. They removed New Warriors from Comixology. Daniel Kibblesmith and Luciano Vecchio stopped discussing it. The entire project became a taboo subject, one of the biggest comic book controversies of 2020, killed before issue #1 was released, all because Marvel named characters Snowflake and Safe Space. 7. All-Star Batman and Robin. DC's All-Star imprint launched in 2005. Biggest creators, biggest characters, no continuity restrictions. Frank Miller and Jim Lee on Batman should have been legendary. Miller wrote The Dark Knight Returns, Batman, Year 1, 2 of the greatest Batman stories ever. Jim Lee drew Batman, Hush, one of the best-selling Batman runs. All-Star Batman and Robin had massive hype. Then, fans read it. Batman was psychotic, violent, cruel, not dark and gritty, actually insane. He kidnapped Dick Grayson after his parents died, called him retarded, forced him to eat rats in the Batcave, told him, "Tough luck, kid." Batman set police officers on fire, laughed while beating criminals, referred to himself as the goddamn Batman constantly. Black Canary got a 3-page sex scene. Wonder Woman called men sperm banks. Critics called it one of the biggest train wrecks in comic history. Issue #10 was scheduled for April 2008, postponed to August, then September, finally released, September 10th, 2008. Then, it was recalled immediately. The printing left profanities insufficiently censored. Multiple F-bombs are clearly visible. DC pulled every copy, reprinted it with proper censorship. The series ended at issue #10. No conclusion, no resolution, permanent cliffhanger. DC planned to continue as Dark Knight Boy Wonder. Monthly releases, no delays, never happened. Jim Lee blamed himself for the delays, said he was working on the DC Universe online video game, couldn't keep up with the monthly schedule. But the writing killed it. Nobody wanted a more psychotic Batman. The All-Star imprint died. Only All-Star Superman succeeded. Frank Miller's reputation never recovered. His later work, Holy Terror, Dark Knight 3, received similar criticism. All-Star Batman and Robin became Miller's biggest failure. One of Batman's most legendary creators made Batman's worst series. So controversial, DC let it die at issue #10. 8. Tom King's Batman. Run started in 2016. Critically acclaimed, award-winning. He planned 100 issues. The centerpiece? Batman and Catwoman are getting married. For over a year, DC hyped the wedding. Variant covers everywhere, promotional campaigns. Retailers ordered heavily. This would be the comic event of 2018. Batman proposed to Catwoman in issue #24. The entire run built toward their wedding in issue #50. Then the New York Times spoiled it. July 1st, 2018, 3 days before the comic was released. The Times ran an article with a headline revealing the ending. Batman and Catwoman don't get married. Fans exploded. Retailers were furious. Many had already ordered hundreds of copies based on the wedding happening. One comic shop manager tweeted, "I've already had 3 people call to cancel their pre-order for Batman #50. I feel like DC owes me money now." Tom King himself was pissed, tweeted his frustration, but urged fans to still buy the issue. DC defended the spoilers. DC Sales, Vive P, John Cunningham said they wanted the news out early. believed it would help retailers prepare for events, argued the story would leak anyway once physical copies arrived, but the damage was done. Issue number 50, released July 4th, 2018. Catwoman left Batman at the altar, decided she couldn't marry him because happiness would stop him from being Batman. The most heroic thing she could do was walk away. Fans hated it, called it a bait and switch, accused DC of exploiting them for sales. The backlash never stopped. King's run became increasingly divisive. Sales dropped. Fan complaints multiplied. King's 100-issue run was cut to 85 issues. He left Batman in 2019, 15 issues short of his planned ending. Got to finish the Bat/Cat story in a separate 12-issue Batman/Catwoman miniseries. But it wasn't the same. The momentum died. The controversy killed the run's energy. Tom King is an incredible writer, won Eisners for The Vision and Mr. Miracle. But Batman, number 50, became his most infamous moment. One spoiled wedding, one canceled ending, all because DC got greedy with marketing. 9. Brian Wood's Aliens. Brian Wood wrote acclaimed series like DMZ, Northlanders, and The Massive. Dark Horse Comics gave him multiple Aliens projects. The Colonial Marines were his specialty. In 2019, Dark Horse announced, Aliens, Colonial Marines, Rising Threat. New miniseries. Wood writing. Jeremy Colwell on art. The first issue was finished, scheduled for release. Then multiple women came forward with sexual misconduct allegations against Wood. In June 2019, women in the comics industry accused Wood of sexual harassment, inappropriate behavior at conventions, abuse of power, predatory conduct. The allegations detailed a pattern of harassment spanning years, multiple victims, credible accusations. Dark Horse Comics responded immediately. They canceled Rising Threat before issue number 1 was released, destroyed the printed copies, severed all ties with Wood, issued a statement supporting the victims. The series never saw print. Wood's name disappeared from Dark Horse projects overnight. Other publishers followed. Marvel, Image, and Boom. Studios all distanced themselves from Wood. Projects were canceled. Contracts terminated. Wood published an apology, admitted to inappropriate behavior, left the comics industry. His Netflix series Castlevania was also affected. Though Wood created and wrote it, he was fired from involvement in the 4th season and future spin-offs. Dark Horse's decision sent a message. Sexual misconduct has consequences. No project is worth protecting predators. Rising Threat joined the list of comics killed by creator misconduct. The story doesn't matter. The art doesn't matter. Protecting victims matters more. 10. Batwoman's Wedding. Batwoman's new 52 series was groundbreaking. Kate Kane was DC's highest-profile lesbian superhero. The series tackled LGBTQ+ issues, won critical acclaim. Writers J.H. Williams III and W. Hayden Blackman crafted a long-term romance between Kate Kane and Maggie Sawyer. Built it for years. Made readers invest in their relationship. In Batwoman number 17, Kate proposed to Maggie. Fans celebrated. This would be DC's first same-sex superhero wedding. Major representation. Important cultural moment. Williams and Blackman planned the wedding as a major storyline. Drew the issues. Wrote the scripts. Everything was ready. Then, DC editorial said no. Not because Kate was gay. DC claimed they had a blanket policy. Heroes shouldn't have happy personal lives. Batman couldn't be happily married. Superman couldn't be happily married. Therefore, Batwoman couldn't be happily married either. Williams and Blackman were told the engagement would be broken off. No wedding would happen. Both creators quit immediately. September 2013. They released a joint statement. Unfortunately, in recent months, DC has asked us to alter or completely discard many long-standing storylines in ways that we feel compromise the character and the series. They specifically mentioned being forbidden from having Kate marry Maggie. Fans were outraged. The timing felt suspicious. DC approved a straight Superman/Wonder Woman relationship, but did it stop a lesbian wedding? GLAAD condemned the decision, called it a step backward for LGBTQ+ representation. DC denied any anti-gay bias, insisted the policy applied to all heroes, but nobody believed them, especially after Superman and Wonder Woman kept dating. Green Arrow and Black Canary had been married. Aquaman and Mara were married. The real policy was clear. Gay heroes can't get married. Batwoman limped along without Williams and Blackman. The series was canceled with issue number 40 in 2015. Kate Kane and Maggie Sawyer's engagement was eventually broken off. No wedding, no happy ending. DC's heroes can't be happy excuse fell apart when they let Batman and Catwoman nearly marry in 2018. When they let Superman and Lois Lane stay married post-Rebirth. The policy only applied to Batwoman's same-sex wedding. Williams and Blackman walked away from one of DC's best series rather than compromise their vision of Kate Kane's happiness. The controversy exposed DC's double standard, cost them two incredible creators, killed a critically acclaimed series, all because DC was too scared to publish a lesbian wedding in 2013. Comics push boundaries. Sometimes they push too far. These 10 storylines crossed lines that came with real consequences. Bomb threats, royal objections, canceled series, destroyed print runs. Some got published decades later, others vanished forever. But they all proved the same thing. Comics aren't just escapism, they're controversy waiting to happen. Hit subscribe for more stories about comics that went too far.